How does an empire die? Often it seems there's a growing sense of decay, and then something happens, a single event that provides the tipping point. In today's video, we analyze this question through the prism of economics and look into the growing belief that the United States of America is crumbling. An opinion now shared by many prominent investors, including Charlie Munger, Ray Dalio, and Peter Schiff. While most may not directly state it, as you will see throughout this video, there is growing evidence that they all seem to support some sort of theory that assumes that the peak of American society has already passed, and that now we have begun our plummet down. But before we begin going down that road, you need to understand something incredibly important about all civilizations throughout history. The currency is the blood of any empire. A failed currency almost certainly means a failed state, and as we proceed, we need to remember the importance of this fact. Every empire from ancient Rome to Imperial Russia shared this reality. Once the currency had failed, destruction followed soon after. That brings us to the United States of America in 2021. Are we witnessing this fall take place right in front of our eyes, or is this random YouTuber merely pushing death and doom for views and likes? After all, the inflation rate is at 6.2%, a number far from the record set in 1917 when the CPI read 17.3%. The US has proved over and over again they can battle through the worst of times and come out on top. So why would this be any different? Well, the answer is quite complicated, but in summary it comes down to just three things: government debts, interest rates, and money printing. Those three measures have proved to be excellent indicators revealing the health of any country throughout history, and right now the US looks like an overweight alcoholic holding on to the last breath. If you were not aware, the Federal Reserve has kept interest rates at or near zero for over a decade. Our government debt is spiraling out of control, with trillions more expected to be added in the coming years. And to fuel this addiction to spending, we are printing more money than ever, pushing the dollar to the limit. In reality, however, why should you care? You likely got a job, the stock market is booming, and unrest is very limited. Life is good, the empire lives on. But as is the case with any moment in history, things can quickly take a turn for the worst. To many, the phrase currency collapse is an outdated one that doesn't apply to the United States. According to most analysts and financial media, people who suggest that our system is broken are quickly labeled as lunatics, conspiracy theorists, and uneducated fools. But you cannot deny reality. The inflation spiral has already begun, and in my opinion, it's just getting started. Not only is today's high inflation not transitory, but it's also just the tip of a massive iceberg. Not too long ago, the Federal Reserve tried to cure a health crisis with a money printer, an action that resulted in non-productive Americans spending income they did not earn, a perfect example of the cure being worse than the disease. To make matters worse, most in finance have this belief that the government will be a savior, just as they were in the 80s when high inflation was shut down by Volcker and Reagan. Powell promises to battle high inflation with, quote, tools, but the sad reality is that the government will do nothing to stop it. Raise the rate and you'll start a recession. They would rather hold off kicking the can down the road. Take a listen to Peter Schiff explain exactly this in a recent interview with Anthony Pomp.
Can you talk about, the official numbers are 6.2% for inflation. We can beat the drum all day. How long do you think inflation's gonna last in this kind of environment with this 6+%?
Oh, it's here for the duration. I mean, this decade is going to be a big inflationary decade. I mean, it's going to get worse. It's going to be much worse than the 70s. I just don't see a way out, really. We got out of it with Paul Volcker and Ronald Reagan in 1980. I mean, I don't see a Reagan on the horizon in the White House. We're not going to get another Paul Volcker. And even if we had Paul Volcker, I mean, how could they raise rates? I mean, in 1980, when the Fed raised rates, it only impacted the new budget deficits. It didn't impact the national debt because the national debt was financed with 30-year Treasury bonds. Today, the national debt is financed with T-bills. We got almost a $30 trillion national debt. If they had to jack interest rates up, let's say even at 10%, we would pretty much have to refinance the whole national debt in 3 years at 10%. Right now, we got it financed at, like 1%, 2%. I mean, really low. Where would the government get trillions of additional dollars to pay the interest on the debt? Plus, we already have $3-4 trillion a year deficits, which would get much bigger if the Fed actually raised interest rates to 10%. What would happen to the economy? I mean, it would implode. I mean, think about the real estate market, the stock market. I mean, everything would collapse. So the deficits would skyrocket. And of course, how would they pay the interest? So we're in a position where we can't raise rates.
So if the government can't battle inflation and any future crisis will be met with more money printing, then you have to begin to wonder about the future of our economy and monetary system. Despite what academics will tell you, you simply cannot just keep printing money to finance an empire without it blowing up in your face. If you've been paying attention to the news, Congress recently passed a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, and there's an even bigger spending bill in the pipeline. Where will all this money to pay for all this government spending come from? They're not getting it from higher taxes, so they're going to have to get it all from the Fed. And the Fed is going to have to expand its asset purchase program to buy up all these bonds that they're going to be selling to finance all this spending. If you've been paying attention, governments around the world have been trying to reason and blame the public for inflation. We're producing money, not stuff, and so the price of stuff is going up. So are there any solutions to these problems? The actual solution is to stop the printer and go cold turkey on quantitative easing. And then the central bank needs to legitimately tighten, shrink its balance sheet, withdraw money from the economy, and allow interest rates to rise. The government also needs to slash spending. That means that the stock market is going to have to come down. The real estate market is also going to have to come down. Those are politically unacceptable solutions, so instead we will continue to push this Candyland narrative that all this can be fixed by pretending it's not there. We here in the United States would rather alleviate short-term pain in exchange for long-term suffering. One of my favorite financial YouTubers, Swan, explained exactly this in his most recent post. As one of the most level-headed investors on this platform, he claims that both a market crash and hyperinflation are very possible. Take a listen.
This is the game. This is the name of the game. Now they have increased their projections from interest rates, but if inflation is 15%, 1.75 interest rate will not do much, especially as people continue this spending spree. So these are just projections that are, this is the Kool-Aid. We'll do this. When we lose control, then we are all screwed. And if just this happens, so this is 2013, the yield curve, and this is 2020. Now it's a little bit higher already, so we are here, 150. If this goes to double here, you can expect a market crash of 50%, especially if people fear even higher interest rates. That's the name of the game, and nobody can predict it, no matter what they tell you.
So there you have the predicament. If the fix for high inflation is to destroy the economy, well, no politician will ever do it. That leaves us only one option: inflate the pain away. History is undefeated when similar events unfolded throughout many civilizations in the past. What do you think makes the United States immune from this? Let me know in the comments below. I tend to take the Warren Buffett philosophy that you should never bet against America. Somehow we always find a way. As always, thank you guys for watching, and please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video.